My dear students, welcome to the course of Architecture and Town Planning. I am your teacher Ravinder Kumar Khyani, Assistant Professor, Department of Architecture and Planning, NED University of Engineering and Technology, Karachi in Pakistan. Today is our last lecture. So, what we are going to do, we are going to review what we have learned in the course of town planning. So, let's begin our lecture. Okay, so first of all, we will begin with our first lecture. In first lecture, we have discussed about the town planning and the books that are available for town planning. Then we have discussed about the course content and the topics that we have to cover in this course. And there were around 26 topics. Then we have discussed about what is meant by urban and rural, and what is an urban area, and how the cities, towns, and conurbations are defined and described. Then we have discussed about the global characteristics of an urban area, how globally we can recognize where is the urban area and where is the rural area, and what is an urban culture, because urban culture defines the cities in a peculiar manner. Then we have discussed about the rural settlements, villages, and hamlets. And then we focus on what is rural, where the natural environment exists. And then the rural urban differences were discussed in detail, where we have seen that what are the major distribution between the rural areas and urban areas. Then in our lecture 2, we have discussed about the town planning, its purpose and its scope. What is town planning and its purpose? The purpose of town planning is basically to improve the existing town or create a new one. And in town planning, we do design the urban spaces for the people and for the masses. Then we have discussed about that town planning is the determining and drawing up the plans for the future of physical arrangement and conditions of the community, or the comprehensive planning of the physical and social development of a town. Then we discuss about this, that how the town is basically developed over the period of time, and what an urban planner do for planning the city. And what is the purpose and scope of town planning? The purpose of town planning is to plan the urban settlements for economic growth and development. And the major purpose is to discuss, or you can say address, the issue of the urban growth. And the purpose of town planning also to provide the appropriate land uses for the living, working, and recreational of the people. And we have also seen a video about the town planning in developed world. Our third lecture was about trends in urban growth. Basically, there are two major trends. One is the horizontal growth, and other is the vertical growth of the city. The growth of the city occurs with the population increase, and city expand horizontally in every direction possible wherever the road network or railway network goes. And then when the city become very large, then a high density of the city increases and develops city in vertical manner. And then there occurs a rural urban edge, where the city ends its boundary. And then we have also discussed about the models and theories of city life cycle, how the city have grown over a period of time, from Eopolis to polis to metropolis to megalopolis to tyrannopolis and necropolis. And we have seen that what are the different issues and problems in the megalopolis and the large cities. Then we have discussed about the small and intermediate cities, because these are also very important factor, especially in Pakistan. We have so many small and intermediate cities which needs a grave, which has an abject need of the planning of their physical growth and social growth and economic growth. And then we have also discussed about the different kinds of growth, such as cellular growth or leapfrog development or different other kinds of development in the city. Then our fourth lecture was again on trends in urban growth and objective of sound planning, in which we have seen that how an urban profile is made of a city, and how horizontal section is made, and how the street patterns are within the city. And these there may be different kinds of pattern. For example, gridiron pattern, which is or checkerboard pattern, and then there is a circular pattern of development in the city. And then there occurs a suburbs and suburban development, because city expands over the period of time to suburban areas. And we have also seen a video about the growth of Dubai from 1960 to 2021. And we have also discussed about the models of urban growth. And these are like concentric zone model, sector model, multiply nuclei model, the modern Islamic city model, and the South Asian McGee model, in which we have seen that how different cities have developed in different parts of the world, and what was the major causes of the development, and how the city have expanded. The fifth lecture was about the objectives of sound planning, because when the city is growing over the period of time, there occurs variety of problems and issues, and we must look at these problems and issues and set the objectives and goals of planning. And why sound planning is so significant? Because if sound planning is not going to happen, then what happens that over the period of time, city expand in horizontal manner. And haphazard manners, when the city grows, then there occurs different kinds of physical, social, and economic problems. Furthermore, sound planning is also significant because there is an urban sprawl, and it has affected the city in different manners. And we need to improve the quality of the city. And the quality of city is improved by providing the affordable housing and amenities for all people, and ensuring access of people with disabilities within the city. And there should be access of all the services and infrastructure for the city. The sixth lecture was about the modern planning in Pakistan and abroad, in which at first we have discussed about the modernity and the modern. What is modernity? Anything which is new. Or modernism is a modern way of life that people have. And modern planning is basically the planning of making the cities to an international standards. And then we have looked at the modern planning abroad and how different cities develop, the largest cities of the world and the mega cities of the world and the world cities of the world. So we have seen the modern planning abroad, in which we see authoritarian planning, romantic planning, technocratic planning, and there were different kinds of planning that took place abroad. Then we have focused about the modern planning in Pakistan, and we have focused at how the planning is done in Pakistan, especially when we have designed our capital city Islamabad and the capital city of Karachi. And we have also focused on the physical and social growth of the both cities. Then in lecture 7, we have focused on modern planning in Pakistan again, and we discussed about the profile for town planning, and especially Karachi was focused, where the people of Karachi were discussed that what kind of people and communities live here, how is the physical geographical conditions of the city, how is the regional geography, how is the flora and fauna in the city, how the overall density of the city, and how the city is expanding in future. And then we have looked also the history of Karachi and the town planning processes that occurs over the period of time. And then finally, we have discussed in this lecture about the Karachi's dominant environmental issues in town planning and how the authorities are addressing the problem of town planning. Then in eighth lecture, we again continue on this topic of model planning in Pakistan and abroad, and look at the master planning exercises took place in two major cities of the Pakistan. First is Karachi and other is Lahore, in which we have seen that how the modern planning occurs. For example, Karachi Master Plan 2020 was discussed, and it was seen that how many kinds of maps were developed, and how the decision of the social, economic, and cultural aspects of the city and other aspects of city and for different sectors, the health, the education, and about the old buildings and their characteristics were also discussed in the master plan. Then in Lahore, we have seen that how many there are so many infrastructure projects that were developed in Lahore due to master plan, and these were discussed in this lecture. In lecture 9, we have focused on the top theme of information required, because in town planning we need different kinds of information which is necessary for the development of the city. And first of all, the major information is about the maps, because maps basically give us an idea about the existing conditions of the city. So we have discussed about the map making techniques and the cartographic techniques, such as how the globally maps are developed for different teams, how the zoning maps develop in the city. And we also looked at the land use maps developed in Hong Kong, or how the 3D maps were developed abroad in Japan. And then we have seen different examples of maps in city planning. These maps are basically land use map, infrastructure map, physical development map, social development map, economic development map, and the culture development map. After discussing about the information concerning maps, the next lecture was about the natural resources and economic resources for town planning, because natural resources are depleting over the period of time, and we need to use these natural resources with efficiency and with improvement, and with sense of that they are not, some resources are basically renewable, and but they are not renewable. So we have looked at what are the renewable resources, what are the non-renewable resources, how they are related to town planning, because if resources are not available, then how the planning will be done. So we have discussed, we have classified the natural resources and economic resources, and in this classification, we further look at that how natural resources are very important for an urban, you can say, environment. Especially there occurs urban heat islands in the city, and that occurs because we make so many concrete buildings without considering that the landscape requirement and which are very necessary for the development of the city. And in urban economics and town planning, we have seen that how the planning improve the economic conditions of the people and make their life better. And when the economic condition improve, the spending power of the people improve, and there occurs markets and bazaars, and that basically give a urban life to the people. Then the 11th lecture was about the legal and administrative problems of the city. Every city have variety of legal and administrative problems, because city is composed of various income groups. There are low income groups, there are middle income groups, and there are high income groups. The land is a scarce source in the city, so that's why the elite can have good housing and land availability, but there are people who cannot afford the housing in the city. So there occurs Scottish settlements and Kachiabadis in the city, and there occurs different kinds of problems concerning the city. And then there are a variety of problems. For example, there is a problem of low density continuous development that occur because the elite develops housing outside the city, and they have the car, and then they have the transport system, so they can travel a lot, but it requires lot of resources to develop such kind of development, such as low density development. Whereas there are also the medium density housing, and there are variety of you can say low income housing, or kachi abadis, or poor communities that exist in the city. And there are also the religious communities within the city. And there are different issues and problems, legal problem. For example, illegal electric connection, the infrastructures are encroached, in the education facilities and health facilities. These are very important aspects of the town planning. So we have discussed about that. Then in 12th lecture, we have looked at the topic of civic survey. Civic survey is basically done to know about the people and their conditions and their physical and social infrastructure. And it requires the variety of surveys. For example, there are different authors who have described the survey in their own manner. We have discussed about them. There is a town or city survey, there is a regional survey, there's a national survey, there's a civic survey, there's a town survey, the physical survey, the social survey, and the economic survey. And these surveys basically gives us about the situation of the people concerning population, their housing condition, their community facilities, their demography. The housing survey also incorporate include the existing housing stock, how many houses are required in the future, and how much is the demand and supply gap, how much we provide housing to the people. And is always less you can say provision of housing to community, then the population increase. So this gap must be maintained. And then community services are also required. So civic survey involved different kinds of information which is collected through civic survey, and there are 11 type of, you can say, survey information we are collecting for town planning. Now, then we also shown you the video about how to make an attractive city in this lecture. Let's go ahead. And 13th lecture was about the urban ecology, where we have looked at the natural environment that exists within the city and how we have affected our man-made environment, affected the natural environment, and how people have developed their places and spaces. There are various kinds of species of birds, of animals, of you can say plants and water bodies, and these all require maintenance, because if we do not maintain these, the living condition will be worse. And urban ecology basically address such kind of issues, that how we can develop different approaches through which we can address the problem of natural resources. And I've also shown you the video concerning the urban ecological footprint, which is very important for the cities, that there should be some ecological balance between the living beings. And urban ecology basically have two different approaches. One is the ecology in cities and urban regions, and other is the ecology of cities and urban regions. And there is an urban system where we have the built environment, we have social environment, and we have the biophysical environment. And we develop different theories about the how urban areas grow over the period of time without damaging the natural environment. Then the 14th lecture was about the need and scope of comprehensive plan, because every city have variety of issues, and we must have a growth strategy of the city, how city should be grown over the period of time, how much should be the horizontal growth, how much should be the vertical growth, and what kind of transportation network is required, and the service system is required, and what supply system is required, road network is required, and how the social conditions can be improved with the physical condition improvement, how the socio-political conditions can be improved by designating different areas and dividing and developing them with togetherness. And then we have also looked at the master planning case studies of Karachi and Lahore in this lecture, when we have seen that how the physical plans were developed for the development of city and how it affected the overall conditions of the city. Then the 15th lecture was about the phases of planning and principles of planning. Because planning is not an isolation act. Planning is a process. Over the period of time, planning has to deal with increasing number of problems over the period of time. Because city increase with population and the demands of the people increase in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of housing, in terms of infrastructure services, in terms of you can say sewage network, the water supply, electricity, gas, utilities are very important. So how we can plan about it? So there are different phases. First of all, we have to develop a community goal, that what we wanted to achieve from the city and how we can achieve it, whether we are justifying in our goals, whether we are providing the development for all the income groups or not. So there are different, you can say, phases of planning, and there are different principles of planning. That in phases of planning, there is a preliminary study, there is the formulation of the goals, and then there is the identification of the objectives, and then preparation of alternative, you can say, solutions to the people, and then most important thing is the evaluation of the solutions that we are providing to the people in terms of physical, social, and economic and political realities of the city, and how the implementation of the planning is taking place. We have also looked at what are the secondary cities and why planning in them is so significant, because secondary cities are networked around the world, because every city have their own particular produce, agricultural produce, as well as you can say agricultural products which are produced over there. So there must be a network where the cities of secondary level must compete with each other and play their part in the national economy. Then the 16th lecture was about the communication system, which is very important, which we can say the backbone of the whole city. and city basically is the having good, you can say, communication, road network, metropolitan railways, airways, waterways. These are very important aspects. So we have looked at how communication have developed in cities and how many types of roads and function of the road and the development of the road. And then we have looked at the you can say railway network and how railway has contributed in the efficient circulation of the people. And there are different types and classification of metropolitan railways. Some of the under you can say streetcars, then there are suburban railway, then there is a circular railway. So there are a variety of railways, and then there are different Bahn systems which develop in Germany and other, you can say, developed countries. And there are different non-typical modes of metropolitan railways which develop where the overall landscape of the city is of uneven nature, or where you have different kinds of natural elements to deal with them. For example, if there's a river, so you need to cross the river, so you need bridges. Or if there's a long, you can say, river where you have need, you can say, railway network or metropolitan railway. So there are different, you can say, metropolitan railway systems around the world. Then the 17th lecture was about the again the communication, and it was the focus on airports and harbors. In this lecture, we have looked at the types of air traffic, air carrier traffic, the you can say general aviation and air traffic control and growth over the period of time. And then there are future developments in airways and air transport. And so we have looked at the airport and its development, how the airport is located, what kind of facilities are available, and where are the airside areas, where the landside areas, and where are the intermediary areas. We have also looked at a case study of the airport and its development, and we also talked about the harbor facilities and port facilities, which are very important for the economic growth of the city. And in this port and harbor facilities, basically give economy to the city, because as much good services we have about the airways and the waterways, the economy will increase a lot. Then the 18th lecture was about the street traffic and design. Street is an integral part of the city, and most of the spaces in the city are composed of streets, and it creates a built environment for the people. So street play a very significant role where people have social interaction, their businesses, their income generation processes, and the circulation within the streets, and vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic, and there should be segregation between the two. And there are different six, you can say, different kinds of uses of the streets and roads. And street traffic and design is most important aspect, because streets are not only for the circulation of the people, but these are also the ecosystem which have disposed the you can say rainwater and drains, and there may be a greenery in it. So street transformation also taking place, where people come out and improve their streets. So this is the street traffic design. In this lecture, we have also discussed about how the traffic in the street should be managed. Traffic should be vehicular and pedestrian, how they are designed. The next lecture was about the urban zoning and land use control. Urban zoning and land use control is an integral part of the town planning, because it regulates the overall land development within the city. Urban zoning is done to separate the incompatible land uses within the city. And there are various kinds of urban zoning. First, there is a use zoning, then there is a height zoning, and then there is a density zoning. The use zoning is very important, in which the city is divided into six major zones: the residential, the commercial, the industrial, the recreational, the institutional, and the civic zone. And these zones are separated because there are different activities, and these activities should not be amalgamated together. Especially the residential zone should be away from the commercial zone, and the commercial zone and residential zone should be away from the industrial zone. So we have discussed in this lecture about the urban zoning, and then therefore there are different kinds of land use. There are different kinds of problems that occurs when the land use control is not done, because the land in the city is mostly privately owned, and there is a government owned. Now, the issue with privately owned land is that the people develop their housing or commercial area or develop their land into industries on their own without any you can say consideration about the city planning. So that's why the government has to control their land use and provide them guidance in the development of the land. Whereas the land belong to the government has the problem of the land grabbing, and there is an issue of you can say land grabbing which cause a kind of kachi abadis development or low income settlement development, and there occurs a social unrest within the city. So these should be controlled and properly guided so as the city can grow in an efficient manner, and economic and social development may also occur within the city with an you can say harmony or a harmonious whole should be created with urban zoning and land use control in town planning. The next lecture was about the parks and recreational facilities, because in cities we create a concrete jungle. We create so many kinds of buildings and high-rise buildings, and there occurs no place for the recreation and the parks. And parks and playgrounds are also occupied by the buildings. And these are the major issues which should be dealt. So we have discussed in this lecture how parks should be developed within the cities and how people are provided with different kinds of recreation. So we have discussed about different recreational activities that people do, and how the concrete jungle or the streets which are full of buildings must be about you can say vehicles must be having a pedestrian access, and there should be large parks for breathing space, because these are the lungs for the breathing for the city, and this provide oxygen to the city. So this is very important that parks and recreation facilities should be developed so as the people live a healthy life within the city. The next lecture was about the location of public and semi-public buildings, the civic centers, the commercial centers, the local shopping centers, and public schools. Concerning location, we have discussed about the location theory, and we have discussed about how public buildings and semi-public buildings must be grouped together so as they function efficiently and people get facilities. Whereas civic center is an integral part of a town planning, and especially for the city, because in civic center people have all kinds of commercial and the you can say official work, as well as in civic centers they have different issues to be solved. For example, utility bills are to be paid, or you can say they require the health services or education services and other services. So that's why civic center is important, where government have the control of the whole city. And commercial center is basically the nerve center of the city, because it creates the economy and the money generation, and people get income over the period of time by working in commercial centers, and there are local shopping centers which provide the goods to the people and service to the people. The public school or government schools are also important, because the location of schools within the housing cause different kinds of problems. And then there are traditional, you can say, local shopping center and bazaars, which provide a healthy, vibrant life to the citizens of the city. And these should be located at the central areas. Then in this lecture, we have also looked at the location of public schools and commercial centers and the local shopping centers. And we have also looked at why cities are existing where they are. This was in the video that we have seen. So after this, the 22nd lecture was about the location of industries and residential areas. There are different kinds of industries, such as low industries, medium industries, and then there are heavy industries. So industries have different kinds of, you can say, pollution generation. So their location is very important, especially with the nearness to the market and nearness to the, you can say, the raw material, which is important for the industries. And residential area must be having a kind of major characteristics. For example, 50% of the land within the city is of residential use. So residential area should be provided for the low income, middle income, and high income areas, and the people who cannot afford, and the poor people and the people who are living below poverty line, they required mainly the residential area. So these should be planned properly. In this, we have also seen a video about the Dhaka, Bangladesh, where the housing were developed for the low income, middle income, and high income, and how the traffic and transport issue caused a major, you can say, problem in the city. Then 23rd lecture or next lecture was about the layout of street, road crossing and lighting, because streets are the areas which are used not only in the day but also at the night time, and it is a major, you can say, open spaces available to the building and for the recreation of people, as the park and playground are not much in our city. So these are very important, and these public places or streets or roads are for various purposes. For example, for demonstration, for the you can say cultural activities, for the social activities, for the playing of cricket, and so many other things. So these should be developed in a manner so that community have a good social and cultural life. The next lecture was about the community planning, because if we plan the community and bring communities together, it will improve the overall town condition, and town planning will be more efficient with community planning. And community planning requires the engagement to the people and not isolation decision by the governments or the, you can say, government institution, but with public private partnership and with the people's participation in the planning process. Community planning is a very important aspect of town planning. Then we have discussed about the suburban development, how the suburban areas develop over the period of time, and people start living outside the city, because land in the city is scarce and costly. So people go and live outside the city. But now what happens that the elite people get cheap land outside the city and build their housing or high income housing over there. So there is no place left for poor people to live in the city center or in outside outskirts. So suburban development should be carefully planned. In which in this lecture we have also discussed about the suburban development in Karachi, and we have compared the two settlements of DHA city Karachi and the Beda town Karachi. And we have seen that the development is taking place fast in Beda town, but more efficient in the DHA city. Then the next lecture was the final lecture was slum areas and upgrading, because over the period of time when Kachi Abadis increased a lot because of different processes that we have discussed in this lecture, that how the administration and the people and the political people develop these kinds of Kachi Abadis. And these Kachi Abadis are informal settlements, are planned informally, and there should not there should be a formal control over them, so as the social unrest should not take place, and their improvement is very important, so that the city should look beautiful and it improves the overall lifestyle of the people. And as the decision makers have to be focused when we are saying town planning means you have to deal with every kind of people, whether he's a rich or poor. You must have access to health, education, water, electricity, gas, and whether if he's not able to afford the overall you can say living condition, or you can say services and infrastructure, there must be institution who provide the support, and slum areas must be improved and upgraded. Then this was the final lecture. So in this town planning course, we have discussed variety of issues and problems, and we have looked at different solutions that people provide abroad and in our local context. I think I must end my lecture here. Finally, I thank you very much for learning this course of architecture and town planning, and I thank you very much for bearing me for so long. Wish you good luck and goodbye.